step on this page, you can see in the very last paragraph, there was a king who goes by the name of Menander. Alright, the history buffs have already read about him. The people who are fond of history or have studied history throughout their college are already aware of who he is. So the scholars have come up with another term. They like to call it as, Indo-Greeks. Meaning, just like everything else, there had to be Indo-European languages, there had to be Indo-Greeks, okay? So everything that came out of this Aryan race, okay, which by the way was exclusively limited to Bharat, okay, but they will not acknowledge this. Why? Because that will trigger their subconscious, not exactly subconscious, but that would trigger their, they'll become conscious of the fact that how are we not the finest race that humankind has seen? How can they be the finest race? Okay. So there is a king, Menander. They like to call him as Indo-Greek. You know why? Because they had to stake that claim, Indo-Greeks, Indo-European. Everything has to be Indo. Why? Because India itself is not our word. I keep on saying this, educate yourself about the etymology and all the details of the word that is India. Okay, India means essentially a land that has to be proselytized by the monotheistic traditions. Okay, it was an idea that was sold to us in 1947. At that time, not a lot of people were aware of what exactly India means, and now I know there will be people amongst you who will say that no, it comes from the word Indus, from the river Indus. Then I would like to draw their attention towards the Red Indians in the United States. Do they have an Indus River over there? Why do we call them Red Indians? This is something that you must think about, okay? So I'm still not convinced of these Indo-Greek rulers. Apparently that according to the Westerners, in that 300-year transition between the Kanvas and the Guptas, some of the Greeks, they came over here and they became Indianized. Okay, this is the word that they use. And from this point forwards, we keep on calling them Indo-Greek. Okay. So here in this paragraph, you can see towards the end, Plutarch tells us that Menander was noted for justice and enjoyed great popularity with his subjects. That upon his death, which occurred in a camp, diverse cities contended for possession of his ashes. Okay. Now the last line. Okay, the completion of that last line is on another page. Okay, curiously enough, of all the Yavana kings of Bharat, Menander alone has found a prominent place in the Buddhist tradition as a scholar and a patron of Buddhism. Okay, it is said that these Indo-Greek rulers, they were great patrons of Buddhism. That why is it that only one king, there is so much written about this one king, that he was a patron of Buddhism. Okay, so now you must be able to connect the dots. Ashoka is presented to us as the fountainhead through which this idea of India springs, the idea of non-violence, the idea of religious toleration. Why? Because he was a Buddhist. Not that I have anything against Buddhism. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you just need to connect the dots. Come a little bit forward, you'll see that there is a king called Menander. Okay, so out of all those supposedly Indo-Greek kings, he is the only one who is presented as a good example of a king. Why? Because he himself was a patron of Buddhism. Okay, so I'm again repeating it. I have nothing against the Buddhists or the Buddhism ideology, because Buddhism ideology comes out of the Aryanhood. Okay, so we all are brothers and sisters. Jains, Jainism, Buddhism, Advaita, and all the philosophies, the Charvakas and all. Okay, so they all spring from a single fountainhead, that is Aryanhood. Okay,